Hi, I'm Rob, and what I'm about to share with you is deeply disturbing. This is the painful story of how I lost my father during Katrina. And it was not the storm's enormous force that killed him, not the massive floods that followed, and not even the lack of food, water, or shelter. It was something no amount of weapons, bullets, or military training could protect him from, and it's guaranteed to strike you during any crisis. I'm about to tell you everything there is to know about this silent killer, and I'll even share with you what I'm doing and what you can do starting today to protect your family. After years of research, I realized that this is the only way to beat the odds when the death toll rises into the millions, and this bulletproof method is guaranteed to keep you safe, protected, and to shield your family from any type of crisis or disaster. Looking back, I would have killed to have this life-saving information. So listen carefully. After Hurricane Katrina hit, I thought we survived the worst of it, but little did I know about the dramatic twist of events that would eventually lead to my father's passing. You see, even though he had no visible wounds, and despite the fact that he was healthy as an ox after the storm hit, my father started getting sicker and sicker. And as you're about to see, taking him to the ER was the biggest mistake I could have made. When we got to the hospital, the smell of death was overwhelming. Everywhere I looked, corpses covered in white sheets filled the halls. The hospital was packed like a sardine can, and people were barely clinging on to their lives. Women, children, and grown men alike. All of them were doomed, coughing, wheezing, and bleeding. I won't get into more details. Let's just say it was like I'd walked into a horror movie. And things started to get even worse. To make the long story short, my dad and I stood there all day begging for someone to help us. We were forced to sleep on the floor and hope for the best while he continued to get worse, shivering and vomiting the entire time. Meanwhile, doctors and nurses were literally running from one place to the other and still couldn't keep up with the workload. They could only treat patients in the most critical conditions. In fact, after the hurricane, doctors and nurses were convicted for speeding up the death process in certain patients because they couldn't keep up. And on that night, somewhere between 3 to 4 a.m., my dad died in my arms. Days later, I discovered he died from a small wound on his ankle. He'd caught a Vibrio infection from the contaminated floodwater. Imagine how I felt, knowing my father died because of a tiny cut on his ankle. I was enraged and revolted by the doctors and our entire health system. I felt stupid and ashamed for being so impotent myself, and for being so naive to have this blind trust in our health care. If only I knew what I know today, I know for a fact I could have saved him. And this is the exact reason I'm sharing this story with you right now. I want to hand you the information I now have in order to make sure you know exactly what to do in the extreme case that something similar ever happens to yourself or one of your loved ones. Look, I used to believe the biggest threats in any crisis are the lack of food, water, or shelter. But after my father's death, I soon realized that all of these things are useless if you don't have the proper tools to take care of yourself. The truth is, the number one killer in any crisis is disease and infection. And it doesn't matter if it's an earthquake, terrorist attack, or the collapse of the dollar. One of the first things to kill most people in a crisis is an illness or disease. It took me years to get over what happened, and I needed answers. I talked to doctors and friends, and I researched for months. Fact is, I couldn't believe the jaw-dropping facts I discovered. Most Americans think our medical system is the same as other first-world countries. That's what I used to think. But in fact, our medical system is a ticking bomb waiting to explode. The American College of Emergency Physicians, ACEP, rates our medical system with a D+, and in some states it barely reaches a startling F, and that's when things go smoothly. So whenever a disaster or a major emergency event hits, your hospital will be overflowing and the staff probably won't be able to help you. During Katrina, for instance, non-threatening illnesses turned deadly because of lack of supplies and medicine. Imagine what would happen if we faced a national disaster. Hospitals would be packed to the brim within hours, or even worse, closed down for good across the country. Nobody would be able to treat people because our medical system isn't even prepared for the patients they get daily. And even if you'd try to treat yourself with medicine, there's little chance to get it because pharmacies will either shut down or get ransacked by addicts. Trucks carrying medical supplies stop delivering whenever there's a crisis, be it the next terrorist attack, natural disaster, or economic meltdown, and pharmacies are emptied within minutes. Here's the worst part. When the hurricane hit New Orleans, it knocked out both power and running water. And when the grid is down, sewage and water systems fail. Raw sewage runs into the streets and contaminates the water supply beyond repair. And all these play a major part in shattering your health. As I already told you, that's what happened to my father. The bottom line is, with no clean running water, no power, no medication, and no hospitals to control the spread of diseases, you and your family will be in serious danger. And if that wasn't enough, here's the harsh reality. Today, the biggest risk for global catastrophe isn't what it was 50 years ago. It doesn't look anything like nuclear war. In fact, it doesn't look like anything at all. It's invisible to the naked eye. Part of the reason for that is that our country spent a huge amount on war prevention and military force, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. In 2014, the world avoided a global Ebola outbreak, thanks to thousands of selfless health workers, plus, frankly, some very good luck. As you look at what went on, the problem was that we didn't have a system to prevent it or quarantine it because we're oblivious to this threat. 10,000 people died from Ebola, and there's 3 reasons it didn't spread more. Health workers who found the people infected and prevented the virus from spreading. The nature of this particular virus, because Ebola does not spread through the air, and by the time it's contagious, most people are so sick that they're already hospitalized. And luck, the virus didn't get to urban areas. Next time, we're probably not going to be so lucky, and these 3 reasons could work against us. Plus, there's also the bioterrorism threat you have to think about. Viruses spread across the world very quickly. I couldn't believe what I was discovering. All along, I thought we pay thousands of dollars on medical care each year to have peace of mind, knowing we're healthy and safe from danger. It turns out it's all a lie. And after my father's death, I realized how oblivious I'd been for the real danger and how defenseless we are to a collapse of our entire medical infrastructure. I couldn't live with the thought of going through something like this ever again. I knew I had to do something. I glued myself to the computer and I worked like a madman. I spent the first few months looking on forums and websites, but I found nothing. The only answers I found were stockpiling medicine and getting some first aid training. The problem is first aid training is not enough. First aid is designed for one thing and one thing only, to get someone to a hospital, when most of the times you don't always have the option during a crisis. I learned the hard way that that's the wrong move. For months on end I was trying to find the answer, but I kept coming up short. I didn't know where else to turn. And then one day I stumbled across an article about Romania. I finally realized the answer may lie in poorer countries. Romania is one of the poorest countries in Eastern Europe, and it's in way worse conditions than many African states. Their entire national health budget is $2.6 billion, 2 times less than Johns Hopkins Hospital for a year, so you could assume it's a third world country. I discovered that very often Romanian doctors are forced to treat their patients only during daylight because there isn't enough money to pay for power bills. And patients have access to only $811 worth of treatment, while a U.S. patient's life is worth more than $8,000. Yet people of all ages are saved every year with simple medical techniques and generic medication. And guess what? They stay alive and healthy. It was then and there I finally realized the answers I was looking for didn't lie in American medicine, but in third world medical secrets. 2 years ago, I found a Romanian doctor willing to help me. His name is Radu Scurtu, and he's a general surgeon, but he's not your typical first world doctor. Radu's a special kind of doctor who's seen both sides of the medical world. He lived and graduated from medical school in Romania, and he was trained outside the first world comfort zone of unlimited supplies and technology, where doctors are even forced to pay out of their own pocket to get things like gauze or syringes to treat patients. Then he moved to work and live in Germany, one of the world's leaders in medicine, so he's seen the latest technology and medical techniques. When I asked him how they did things in Romania, how he managed to keep so many people alive without modern medicine and with so little money, he gave me a strange answer. 80% of the worst medical conditions are triggered by a handful of causes, and if you could treat the causes, you'd avoid almost every major disease. I then told him about my dad, if it was possible for me to learn how to save someone in a crisis. And he said that during a disaster, knowing a handful of tricks can make the difference between life and death, especially when there's no doctor around. In the following weeks, he taught me those simple techniques. I was completely amazed at what I learned in such a short period of time. I felt like I was sitting on a gold mine. So I quickly realized that many people needed to know this mind-blowing information. I asked Radu if he'd be willing to help me create a program showing everyday Americans like me how to prevent, treat, and even save lives during a major crisis. He didn't need much convincing because he'd been wanting to share his knowledge with the world for years. He believes this knowledge will empower people all over the world, and he agreed, but on one condition. No Harvard graduate doctor would rewrite his work. Why? Because modern-day doctors are clueless when it comes to in-the-trenches survival medicine. They rely too much on technology, and they're helpless without it, so all this material would be butchered. We spent the next 3 months putting the material together. When we had our first draft, I showed it to some friends, and they were blown away. They kept saying that this is the missing piece of the puzzle. This program should be on everybody's bookshelf. That's how the Survival MD program came to life. It's the only complete medical survival guide for the layman, showing you how to treat yourself and your loved ones in an emergency when doctors, pharmacies, and hospitals are shut down. It's a simple and straightforward step-by-step program, and you don't need any medical training. Plus, there's no need for a medical professional to look over your shoulder. And here's the best part. You won't need to spend a bucket load of cash or waste weeks poring over hundreds of pages either, because there are no weird medical terms to learn. It's so easy a 12-year-old can understand it. I'm not promising you will treat every illness on the planet because you won't have to. This revolutionary program shows you how to prevent and even treat the deadliest of diseases you'll be faced with during a major crisis. All you have to do is go through this program for 10 minutes a day for the next 10 days, and you'll know more about medical survival than any first-world doctor who's trained to always rely on expensive and modern equipment. Here's just a glimpse of what you'll find inside this medical emergency crash course. Quickly and accurately diagnose any medical condition using the Tecamolo principle. That way you'll know exactly what problem you have to treat. This will save you hours of agony and eventually your life. Third world countries' doctors use this protocol, and it has never been revealed to the American public before. Dr. Skurtu shows you what drugs and medical supplies are vital to stockpile. You don't need to waste your money on expensive brands. You'll discover what meds cover a large range of diseases, are easy to administer, and act in the shortest time possible. Plus, you'll discover which meds rob your body from healing itself. Fact is, they do more harm than good unless you know how and when to administer them. You'll learn how to put together a real medical first aid kit. It's different than anything sold in stores, and it includes 9 life-saving items you absolutely need to toss in your bag. You'll discover the top 5 most likely causes of death you'll be faced with in the aftermath of a crisis. It may sound weird, but focusing on these means you'll ward off 80% of the illnesses, so there's no need to fool your brain with medical problems that have a 1 in a million chance of happening. And that's not all. Inside Survival MD, you'll find the worst medical mistakes you can do in a crisis, like, do you know what you should never do if you're stabbed? People in Romania struggle with this horrifying scenario every day because of the high crime rate. There are 2 key procedures to avoid bleeding to death or even getting an infection. It took Radu 9 years of medical school to figure this one out. And do you know why you should never use a plastic bag or wet bandage to cover up a wound? In fact, doing it increases your risk of infection and even death. Plus, and this is my favorite part of the package, you get inside tips and tricks even regular Joe can put into practice. You'll learn how to put a dislocated shoulder back in its place just like professionals do, and it's easier than you think. and how to master a 100% safe procedure that might cause some first-world doctors to shake their heads. It's considered a forbidden medical secret that can save you from a horrible death when disaster strikes, and most people pay hundreds of dollars for it when going to the hospital. You'll also find out how and where to get a few months' worth of prescription drugs, a little-known secret for getting behind-the-counter drugs without a prescription. And that's just a taste of what's inside. Survival MD shows you how to stay alive until professional help will be available again, even if it takes months, and you won't find these secrets on the internet or anywhere in a medical library. Survival MD isn't just another guide. It's a collection of true, proven-to-work medical techniques taken from real-life situations. After you go through the material, you'll become a valuable resource, not only for your family and friends. These skills will make you a priceless asset to your community when medical services are gone. Most people think all heroes carry guns, yet it's those helping others and saving lives who are the real heroes in our country. Just think about it. It doesn't matter what kind of disaster strikes when you have these life-saving medical skills. We're used to going to the doctor whenever we get a little cough, right? Or go to an emergency room for something more serious. But what if it's all gone? Doctors, ambulances, emergency rooms? You're on your own in any kind of crisis. It could take weeks or months until medical care will be available again, and you can't wait until disaster pounds on your door to prepare. Some disasters happen in a heartbeat without any warning at all, and this medical knowledge is the ultimate tool you can use to barter for anything. You'll have the upper hand on anyone. So let me ask you a question. Is your health and the health of your family the most important thing in life? More important than all the food, water, and gold you could get your hands on? Your life and the life of your family is priceless. So how much is it worth to you to know your family's healthy no matter what? To have the peace of mind knowing that whatever comes your way, you'll stay strong, healthy, and protected. This program is the missing piece of the puzzle to achieve full self-reliance. It's the only way to make sure you and your family won't cross paths with deadly medical problems. So ask yourself, how much is this worth to you? Most medical programs and training courses sell for hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and all the complex terminology and medical mumbo-jumbo is just a waste of time. Survival MD contains real information about serious conditions you're 100% guaranteed to see in a crisis. And it's so easy to follow anyone can understand it. This program gives you the power to experience life-saving techniques for yourself. Radu said this material is worth at least $1,000. What we managed to put together has never been done before. Even so, most people won't afford $1,000, and it's important to both of us to make this available to as many people as possible. Everyone who went through this must-have health Bible says we should sell it for at least $100. But I don't want you to pay $100, not even $50. And as I already said, everyone deserves to know these medical secrets. So that's why I'm willing to offer you direct access to this life-saving information for just $37. Click the Add to Cart button below, and you'll get your physical copy of Survival MD for just $37. That's less than a night at the movies or a nice bottle of wine. And this information is priceless. The more people have this information today, the better we'll all be. This program isn't only useful in a disaster or crisis situation. A lot of this information could save your life in many other situations. And there's more. If you get Survival MD right now, you'll instantly get access to the members area where you can ask me anything, and you'll get a special report on how to survive without prescription medicine. In a crisis, one of the worst things that can happen is being without your medication. It can lead to health complications, pain, or even death. And if you or someone you love suffers from a chronic condition requiring medication, this exclusive report is exactly what you need. It shows you how to stay perfectly safe and well using alternative remedies and techniques. And you'll know how to live a healthier, safer, and self-reliant life in any crisis when prescription meds aren't available. This special report isn't available at any bookstore or anywhere else online, and you get it absolutely free when you get Survival MD right now. And it gets better. I'm so confident you'll be amazed by Survival MD that I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. Get Survival MD today, and I'll give you a 60 days, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. Just go through the program, and I guarantee you'll be thrilled. What you have here is a breakthrough in self-reliance, helping millions of patriots like me and you to outlive deadly diseases when disaster strikes. If for any reason at all you want to get your money back, you have 60 days to make the decision. Simply send me a quick email and I'll give you your money back ASAP. You take absolutely no risk. All you need to do is click the Add to Cart button below. Take a few seconds to register and you'll get instant access to Survival MD. So there you have it. In this presentation, you witnessed undeniable proof that America will sink to the level of a third world country when a major crisis hits. For heaven's sake, I lived right through it. Whether it's going to be a hurricane, an economic collapse, or a terrorist attack throwing us back to the Middle Ages, there will be no sanitation systems to prevent diseases and no medical system to count on. Everything you and I take for granted today will vanish in a crisis. You've seen what happens when all hell breaks loose. How will you or those you love survive? Children and seniors are the most vulnerable to illnesses because their immune systems are weaker than others, and they're the first to get infected. I have 2 children, and I can't even imagine what my life would be like if anything happened to them. This life-saving knowledge is guaranteed to help you sometime in your life, no matter if things are good or bad. Now the ball is in your court, and the way I see it, you have 3 options. The first one is to do nothing. You could walk away from this presentation thinking you'll be fine. Yet in your heart, you know in a crisis there will be no one to help you. Doctors will be forced to treat people in overcrowded hotel lobbies and churches. Hospitals and other public services will be gone. Or you can do it on your own. It will take you years to gather this kind of information if you're lucky enough to find it. I know this because I've already struggled with that. Or you can simply skip all the hard work I've been through, save yourself tons of money, and get Survival MD right now. I've spent a great deal of time and money researching and editing to make this information crystal clear. There's no faster, cheaper, or safer way to beat life-threatening diseases without doctors in a crisis. This is the only field guide that shows you how to survive without a doctor. You'll not only outlive almost any disease and emergencies proven to occur in a crisis, you'll become a prized medical resource for your family and your community for years to come. All you have to do is go through Survival MD for 10 minutes a day for the next 10 days, and you'll know you can finally protect yourself in a major crisis. Years from now, you'll thank yourself for taking action, because these skills and information are valuable in any situation, and particularly valuable when medical help is not on the way. Survival MD isn't sold in stores or anywhere else online, and you're covered by my 60 days money-back guarantee. There's no need to worry, because you can always get your money back, no questions asked. And you can keep the bonus. That's a thank you gift for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Here's the thing, though. I'm not sure how long I can offer Survival MD at this price. This is just a special offer I'm making, and there's a good chance I'll be forced to raise the price to $99 in the coming weeks. So get this now while you can. Just click the yellow button below now. It will take you to a secure page. Take 30 seconds to fill in your details and you'll get access to your Survival MD program right away. You'll also receive How to Survive Without Prescription, free, when its normal retail price is $35. Together, these programs would normally cost you over $100, but today you can get both of them for just $37. You could easily save thousands of dollars in medical care this year alone for your family, which makes $37 a total bargain. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you got a lot of value from it. I look forward to seeing you in the members area. Still there? You probably have some unanswered questions. I'll go over some of the most common questions real quick. Question: do you need to be medically trained or have had first aid training? Answer: no. This material is simple and straightforward. It was especially designed for people with no previous medical training. Question: do I need a medical degree to understand the material? Answer: no. There's no medical jargon and terminology, just plain English. Question: Is this about prevention or cure? Answer: it's about both. Inside, you'll discover what steps to take before disaster day and how to fight back deadly diseases in post-apocalyptic America. Question: I'll be able to say goodbye to the doctor forever after this course, right? Answer: this course is not intended to replace care from medical professionals in any way. It gives you proven and clean medical advice to survive any catastrophe when there will be no doctors around. Yet part of it will still be useful in day-to-day life as well. Still on the fence? It all comes down to this. You can either walk around blindfolded and hope everything is just fine no matter what happens, or you can get this medical field package at an incredible price today. Take the time to go through it and live your life knowing if you do somehow walk across deadly medical conditions, this program will show you how to fend for yourself and your family. So don't become just another bystander and educate yourself ahead of time. You'll be glad you did when the need arises. This is priceless knowledge you can use in any crisis. Knowledge is power, and it's always a good idea to learn how to take care of yourself and your family. And who would you rather learn from? A top-notch doctor who's a slave to modern medical equipment, or a doctor who saved thousands of people on a daily basis with his bare hands? Get Survival MD right now. Click the Add to Cart button below.